Hello, I'm Locke Meredith. I'd like to invite you to join me on the next Legal Lines, where my guest is Denise Amoroso. She's Councilwoman for District 8 in the East Baton Rouge Parish Metro Council. She's also the wife of Buddy Amoroso, who previously held her seat but was killed in a horrible bike accident on June 30th. She could talk to us about the special election coming up March 30th, why she's running to fill the remaining 2 years of his term. Join us on the next Legal Lines with Denise Amoroso.
One of the reasons I love this firm is that the moment you walk through the doors, you're so much more than business. You're family, which means we're going to fight for you as if you're family.
Most of the people we represent come from past clients who have referred friends, family members, other people they love to us to represent them in the same way we represented the persons who referred them.
We all pull from each other's experiences, knowledge of the law, so that we get you not only a solution to your problems, but the best solution that we can come up with for your problems.
Knowledge is power, and the folks who know what they're doing empower you. They enable you to make the right kind of decisions that best serves you. And that's our number one goal, frankly. Our number one ministry is to serve you.
Hello, welcome to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, and I'm pleased to have on the show for the first time Denise Amoroso. She is the Metro Council person for District 8. Denise, fantastic to have you here.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And on behalf of, I'm sure, the entire Baton Rouge community, again, we offer our most sincere condolences for the loss of your husband, Buddy. He's a wonderful man. Did show with him, communicated with him often. He was a very principled man, honest man, and one of integrity, and he didn't talk it, he walked it. And
that's right.
So in a lot of ways, I've looked forward to interviewing you because I know you're doing what you're doing because of the same reasons and to honor him.
Yes, that's exactly right. I feel like this is what he wanted me to do.
So I thought it was kind of a good opportunity for folks to kind of learn kind of what's happened since Buddy was killed June 30th of last year. And because you have a special election coming up on March 30th.
Exactly. And
you decided to go ahead and run to finish the term of Buddy, the remaining term, I think, of 2 years.
Right.
And I think you have one competitor or opponent. And the reason is because of kind of what you've experienced over the last, several months, both good and bad. And so I want to tell the folks about that if that's appropriate. So tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Buddy and I were married 37 years. We met at Oral Roberts University. I was from Florida originally, and when we got married, I moved over here. We have 3 children.
Beautiful grandchild in there, I saw.
That's right.
But more than one, right?
One of them, she's the oldest. And we have 4 grandchildren. And just
well,
great
brag
family.
on your son a little bit. A retired military Navy corpsman.
Not so much retired.
Still part of the military.
No, he's not. I wouldn't consider him retired because he was not a lifer. But he went in right after he got out of high school, and yeah, he was a corpsman. Always been interested in medical since he was a Boy Scout.
But he was very proud of him
and
talked about him.
As we all were, as we all were.
I think at the time he was serving on the George Washington carrier.
Probably so, but after a hull swap, he went back out to the Reagan and served in Japan for about 2.5 years. And came home about 2 years ago, and because he was a corpsman, wanted to continue with the medical, and so he walked right into a job with the Acadian Ambulance.
Fantastic.
He right now is a student at BRCC. He wants to go ahead and get his paramedic, and he is even talking about after doing that, he wants to join the Air Force Reserves.
Boy, fantastic. You're truly a family of public service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank him on behalf of,
we sure will.
of all
Thank
my
you.
crew, and I'm
Thank
sure
you.
everybody. Military is the cream of the crop as far as I'm concerned.
No, we would think so, yes.
So you decided to run. Kind of tell the folks, as I understand for a while, it was kind of a fiasco. As I understand it, back when you decided you were approached to fill his spot, I presume, because the tradition of the Metro Council, when someone became incapacitated or unable or didn't want to serve on the council anymore, oftentimes the Metro Council would turn to the spouse or choose someone.
Right.
And they had to select them within 20 days.
Right.
They'd fill the vacancy until a special election was called.
Exactly.
And so that's what everyone thought was going to happen with you, but then there was a big ruckus. Explain what happened.
Well, I was asked early on, right after Buddy's accident. Sorry.
It's okay. I understand the pain.
That this was going to come up and what would I do. And I did tell them that I thought that I would go ahead and ask to be appointed to his position. So I called each council member, told them that I wanted to be selected, and usually what happened, I know there were 2 council people that had went on to the House of Representatives, wanted to choose their own replacements, which one did. There was another one, some circumstances came up that the one that she wanted didn't work out, so they chose another person. But traditionally, when a spouse dies for some reason, that the spouse is chosen to go ahead and fill out the remainder of that seat.
An objection was made this time, as I understand it?
No. What I understand was that the objections were made every time, that they did not like the tradition of the spouse coming in. They felt like they wanted to be able to be the ones to pick the person to fill the seat. And so they...
Even though they weren't from the district, right? Were they pondering someone within the district?
The person has to be from the district.
Okay.
They have to be
That
from
makes
the
sense.
district.
Since
Right,
you're the district
right.
representative.
So it came up that there were 4 council people that were not going to vote against me, they were just going to abstain. And there was a lot of ruckus going on. I was out of town at the time. I took a break and came back, and as probably everybody, a lot of people saw that Thursday night of what happened.
I remember reading some very uncomplimentary articles at the time, and I was frankly bewildered that it had devolved into seemingly not very meritorious arguments.
Yeah, it was not a pleasant evening for
Bottom line is, as I understand it, Councilwoman Tara Wickert, she voted, and that solved the problem or the impasse, and you were appointed.
That's right.
But subsequently, the council has voted with your support after making it qualified support to kind of modify the system where notice is given to the public.
Right.
Within 20 days, they have to be appointed. And regardless, if no one's appointed, then the choice goes to the governor.
It will, but I am sure if another situation arises that happened with me, that there will be someone appointed now that they have a system in place.
Okay.
Yeah, now that the ordinance is
Well,
passed.
I'm sorry that you had to go through that. As I understand it, was literally months after Buddy's death, and it wasn't necessarily by any stretch of the imagination respectful to his memory.
It wasn't months, it was 20 days.
Was it really?
He had just been
Oh, you're
killed
right. What
20
am I
days
thinking?
before.
Within
That's right. That's right.
Weeks.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, well,
but
you
at
know.
least the right person prevailed.
Well, you know, living with Buddy, I've really learned how to let things roll off my back, you know. I had to, my kids and I, stuck our chin out, put our heads down, and took it and went on with
Well,
life.
and I understand the whole family accompanied you when you went ahead and made it clear that you were running again.
They did, and they were my biggest cheerleaders.
And you brought the necessary, I think you said 130 signatures, plus you paid the fee, even though all you had to do was have over 100
For qualifying,
signatures.
yes, exactly.
And clearly qualified that way.
They
So
are my campaign committee. My
makes
kids
sense.
are. My kids
the
are.
most ardent supporters, I assume.
They are really behind me. They're helping me in every way that they can.
Well, what I'd like to do is discuss Buddy, because now that you've kind of stepped into his shoes in a lot of ways, You've kind of learned stuff about him and kind of the responsibilities held, and we'll continue that on the next segment.
Okay.
This is Locke Meredith with Denise Amoroso, councilperson for District 8. We'll be right back.
One of the reasons I love this firm is that the moment you walk through the doors, you're so much more than business. You're family, which means we're going to fight for you as if you're family.
Most of the people we represent come from past clients who have referred friends, family members, other people they love to us to represent them in the same way we represented the persons who referred them.
We all pull from each other's experiences, knowledge, the law, so that we get you not only a solution to your problems, but the best solution that we can come up with for your problems.
Knowledge is power, and the folks who know what they're doing empower you. They enable you to make the right kind of decisions that best serves you. And that's our number one goal, frankly. Our number one ministry is to serve you.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm pleased to have on the show for the first time Denise Amoroso. She is the councilperson for District 8. Denise, again, thank you for doing the show, and let's kind of dive back in. Let's talk about Buddy, because you took over, you've expressed why you wanted to continue the public service that he began. Just tell folks a little bit about Buddy, kind of when I remember meeting and communicating at some point about the whole tax busters stuff way back when and fighting a big giant school tax that he didn't agree with. And he worked in the real estate management business with you and the family and just kind of worked on the outside of politics for a while. Then he got into it, and kind of how you've now seen everything he did. I think I read that you referred to him as a rock star.
Yes,
you didn't know what a rock star he was. So tell me about Buddy, kind of on the opposite side that you're on now, on the not power but fighting as a public service stuff he didn't think was right.
Buddy, to tell you the truth, has always loved politics, always did. When we were at Oral Roberts University, he campaigned for governors up in Oklahoma and just all kinds of things. So he's always loved politics, always been interested in politics.
I had forgotten too that, he was a very driven guy, that he had dyslexia and had some speech issues in his youth, and he conquered them.
He did.
And he did not let them stop him, and he was a very focused fellow.
At first he was, I would guess to say, embarrassed by his dyslexia and other things, but I think when he did some research and saw how successful people were in spite of their dyslexia, that he was able to overcome those things. He, before he was killed, had started working on a podcast for dyslexics and had been in touch with people all around the United States, people who were dyslexic. He also got very involved with Bill and Laura Cassidy's
Yes, he talked about it on the show.
And they very much admired him for the things that he had done for the school, and so we are still in touch. I'm still in touch with them as well. So he was very driven, decided not to let those things stop him. He found ways around them.
Right. Let's talk about the tax buster kind of issue. I went back and watched the show, and I'd forgotten all the details, but basically it was a school tax and several millions of dollars. It was an election called kind of to be under the radar of the population, kind of a low turnout type of date and month.
That's right.
And it was a long financed amount of money that he deemed too much, an unfair tax, and just wasn't right, and he fought it, and he won.
Yes, we did. I remember he came in the bedroom one day, and he said, "There's this multi-million-dollar school tax. We got to fight this thing, And I thought, oh, there is no way you're going to be able to do that. Oh, yes, we are. The first meeting we ever held, we held at La Madeleine's at the corner of Jefferson and Old Hammond Highway. I was there, and somebody else happened to show up, and I'm not sure if that was the same morning or it was somewhere along the way, but he had mentioned to Fred Dent and Elizabeth that he wanted to tackle this tax, and they came on board, and from then on out, it just exploded when people saw what they were trying to do and fight this multi-million-dollar school tax. They uncovered all kinds of things going on, schools that were not being repaired, and the shingles were in warehouses rotting, and just all kinds of things that were being uncovered that were not honest. And
Bad mismanagement.
Bad, really bad. Money being wasted, a lot of things. So they did, and they thought that, I guess, like you said, thought they were going to bring it under the radar, but they exposed it all, brought it out, and it failed. And it was pretty exciting.
And my recall is that ultimately they had to scale it way back, significantly reduced amount. It was a very short-term finance period, and it was very, very directed as to where the money would go.
Yeah.
And then that passed. So he literally saved the taxpayers millions of dollars in taxes.
He sure did.
And I think you've mentioned to me that as you've kind of started to fill his shoes in some respects, you've been exposed to people, particularly since his death also, that were exposed to Buddy and all the things and all the boards and committees and other volunteer projects that he participated in. Tell the folks. Because he was on boards, wasn't he, on the airport?
Well, he was no longer on that airport committee, but he was on the airport committee, I think, for about 5 or 6 years. That was before he was on city council. He was also on the ABC board, just all kinds of things. And being the fact that he was in, and his family is in, property management, he had to pretty much keep his hands on things that were going around town as crime and drainage and just all kinds of things. And so I think he got to know a lot of people that way. So then when he became part of the city council, he already kind of had a foot in the door. So,
people knew him, huh?
Yeah, people knew him and respected him and really, really liked him. But after he was killed and I got involved with the city council, just all the things that people started telling me, the stories that people were telling me, he got this road up here paved that nobody else could do. He had his hand with the divergent canal with Garrett Graves, and very much involved with the FEMA after the flood. I think he even was involved with the construction, the road construction that's going on downtown with Garrett Graves as well. Just all kinds of things that he had started that I am beginning to see
come to fruition.
One of his big things was seeing Sherwood Forest taken care of.
Big accomplishment. I think he told me one time he calculated how much he was making per hour, because I don't think folks really understand. You guys are not paid a whole lot of money, and you spend just lots and lots of time on behalf of the public to serve.
Now, he did countless hours because he was able to get up, and he had the kind of regular job that he was able to go out and do the things that he wanted to do as far as his city council position went. Oh, he would work 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe not come home until 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
I think you said it was 50 cents an hour?
50 cents an hour. He came in one day and he said, figured it out, I make 50 cents an hour. And he earned every penny of it.
So what motivated him to serve in such a way?
He loved Baton Rouge, absolutely loved Baton Rouge. He was born here, raised here, went to Broadmoor High. He wanted Baton Rouge to be a place, and he would tell people this.
It's all right.
That he wanted Baton Rouge to be a place for his grandchildren, that they wanted to stay here and live here, but he also wanted it a place that people would want to stay and come and visit. And he never used his position in city council as a stepping stone to go anyplace else. He was good where he was.
All right, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith with Denise Amoroso, District 8 councilperson. We'll be right back.
One of the reasons I love this firm is that the moment you walk through the doors, you're so much more than business. your family, which means we're going to fight for you as if you're family.
Most of the people we represent come from past clients who have referred friends, family members, other people they love to us to represent them in the same way we represented the persons who referred them.
We all pull from each other's experiences, knowledge, the law, so that we get you not only a solution to your problems, but the best solution that we can come up with for your problems.
Knowledge is power, and the folks who know what they're doing empower you. They enable you to make the right kind of decisions that best serves you. And that's our number one goal, frankly. Our number one ministry is to serve you.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke, Meredith. I have as my guest for the first time Denise Amoroso. She is District 8 Metro Council person. Denise, let's kind of shift gears a little bit. And I know this is painful, but I think it's important for people to hear. As we discussed, Buddy was killed, I think, June 30th, and was riding a bike on the Angola, I think they call it Angola Trace, LA 66 or something like that, in West Feliciana. Kind of tell the folks, as you understand it, what happened. Because he had a friend with him, right?
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Tom Clement?
Tom Clement. He and Tom rode bikes together quite often, and they originally were not supposed to go out there. They were supposed to ride the River Road, but River Road's not any safer. They had just passed the Angola prison. It was very busy. The road was very busy, and according to what I was told by the probation officer up in St. Francisville, that the guy that hit Buddy had seen him from far off. It was a clear day. It wasn't foggy. Some people said it was foggy. It was not foggy. Very clear day, 11 o'clock in the afternoon. They had 4 miles to go and they would have been finished. And what I understand, according to the fellow that hit him, there was another car coming in the opposite direction. The guy first said that he was only going 30 miles an hour on cruise control, but it's a 55-mile road. Nobody's going to go 30 on cruise control on a 55-mile-an-hour road. So then he later came out and he said, no, he was going the speed limit. What I understand, he did see Buddy and Tom, and there was evidently another car coming in the other direction, which nobody has ever tracked down this other car. Although the lady that was behind the guy said that there was another car. The guy that hit him didn't slow down, didn't yield to him. I don't know that people know this, but anybody in a vehicle is to give someone on a bicycle at least 3 feet, if not more. And
is that state law?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. It is state law. The bicyclist can get as far into the lane as they see they need to in order to stay safe. If they see that the road on the edge is not safe to ride, they can scoot over into the lane. So it is the responsibility of the driver of the vehicle to go around them and still give them 3 feet. What I understand was the car was coming. The guy did not slow down whatsoever. So I think he told the probation officer that for the safety of the passengers in his car, that he had to make the choice of either hitting the vehicle or hitting the bicyclist, and he chose to hit the bicyclist going 55 miles an hour.
Precluding not slowing down, not stopping,
No.
not pulling to the
No.
other side,
No.
to the shoulder.
No.
None of those
nothing.
actions were contemplated.
No, evidently not.
And as I
Evidently
understand
not.
it, he was arrested and charged with negligent homicide initially.
Initially.
So kind of fill folks in, update us what actually happened with the legal proceedings.
He spent 3 days in jail, and after that, the district attorney, instead of trying the case, which I have my own opinions why he didn't, decided to send it to the grand jury. There was only one person that was allowed to testify. That was the lady that was driving behind Mr. Alexander, the gentleman that killed my husband. The lady, or whoever, the driver of the other vehicle coming in the other direction, they never tracked them down. There were no cell phone records brought into evidence.
Mr. Clement did not testify?
He was not allowed to testify as well. And he knows exactly what happened.
Sure he does.
He had a little mirror on the side of his helmet. He had warned Buddy that there was a car back there. And he said the next thing you know, it was over. And they were on the side of the road. The black box was pulled from the vehicle that the gentleman was renting. And I think they tried to connect it somehow, didn't work on the side of the road, but it was not sent to a lab at all. And also the gentleman that was driving the car had gone on to Angola property with a loaded gun in his vehicle. None of that was brought out in the grand jury.
And as I understand it, the grand jury came back with a lesser charge of reckless operation
of a vehicle.
And so what was the ultimate end of this horror story?
They, after meeting with the probation officer, the judge ordered a pre-sentencing investigation. So we were able to talk with the probation officer. He said and warned us that we thought it was going to be 60 days. He says, no, it's 90 days that he could get, is the most that this gentleman could get for reckless operation of a vehicle. Went in, he gave him suspended sentence.
90 days, but suspended.
Suspended sentence, 15 days, 3 already served.
So he served 12 days in jail plus the 3 when he was arrested.
Right.
For a total of 15 out of 90.
For killing my husband.
And a $200 fine?
$200 fine. He has 2 years probation, active probation. He is a 9th grade dropout, so he has to go to get his GED. And he did not realize that my husband had rights, and Tom had rights, as bicyclist, so he has to go back and take some kind of driving school to learn the rules of the law.
And I read that you stated it was a perversion of justice and you forgave Mr. Alexander, but you felt like the consequences were absurd.
I did. I had to forgive him for my own sake, and I told him that. I also told him that he needed to repent for what he had done, and part of repentance was telling the truth. Every time he told a story, it changed. He was going 30, no, he didn't see him, he did see him. My husband moved in front of him, no, my husband didn't move. So every time he told the story changed. So we knew that something else was going on.
As I understand it, West Feliciana has now passed some bike laws as a result of this, but
They have.
Gives less protection to a bike rider than the vehicle?
They have, what I understand, and it's common sense, and my husband and Tom were doing all these things, and they got hit by a car anyway. I believe you have to have a flashing light on the back of your vehicle, which is not a bad idea. You have to have bright clothing, and there was one other thing that I can't remember.
And I understand you're now, because of everything you've been through, you're pushing at the state level and perhaps at the local level for some bike laws that will better protect folks. I think you described it, not in the cage.
Right.
That you're working to help folks.
Right.
Denise, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate having you on. This is Locke Meredith with Denise Amoroso, councilperson for District 8. Thank you for being with us.